Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 9 persons, 9 doors, 9 hours, 999, and the Pixel Doctor. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and let's continue. Explosion rocked the room. Instinctively, they ducked, then stood up slowly when they realized there was no danger. No one spoke. Silence filled the room. In that silence, the electronic tone that echoed across the room sounded as loud as a gunshot. All eyes turned toward it. Come for the device mounted next to the door. The light changed from engaged to vacant. Let's see if we can open it. 7, the mountain, swallowed hard. Junpei nodded and placed his hand on the scanner panel. An asterisk appeared on the LCD panel. Device had registered Junpei's bracelet number 5. This was not enough, however. At least 2 more people were needed. They asked, which pair? Let's see. Ace and Lotus, Naked 7, Santa and June. Santa and June, you think you can give me a hand here? Pun was a little too on the nose, but the move was still grim. Both Santa and June lifted their left hands silently. Verified, and they followed suit. Equals 5, they fulfilled the conditions. If they're to pull the lever on the side... You guys ready? I'm gonna open it. Junpei grabbed the lever and looked back over his shoulder. They stiffened and nodded. Junpei nodded back and set his mouth in a grim line. Then he slowly lowered the lever. There was a metallic groan and the door slid open. A breath of air drifted out, carrying a stench that nearly made them gag. Junpei grimaced and put a hand over his mouth. Oh my god. Good god. Lotus and Ace shuddered. 7 grunted. Whoa, that's pretty bad. Even Santa's voice shook. He blew up. It appeared that Santa was right. All on the outside of the door was splattered with chunks of torn flesh and dark red blood. Aye! A shriek echoed across the room. It had come from June. Then her strength left her and she dropped. When they turned to catch her, the door groaned shut. Crumpled to the floor. June, you okay? Junpei dropped to his knees and put his arms around her shoulder. Then when he noticed, her whole body was feverish. She was radiating intense heat. What the hell? Where'd this fever come from? June didn't answer. Her face looked like wax and her whole body began to shake. Alright, let's just rest for a minute, okay? You think you can walk? She nodded weakly. Junpei lifted June to her feet and guided her to a nearby chair. Here we go. As gently as he could, he set her down in it. How are you feeling? Are you alright? She nodded. As she did, a single huge tear rolled down the side of her face. Why? Why did this happen? Her voice cracked, broken by misery and grief, and choked by sobs. Why did this happen? Junpei spun around. Do any of you know what the fuck is going on here? Who's Zero, and what is this nunnery game? Come on, anybody? Anything! What the hell's going on? What are we doing here? No one spoke. Ace, Snake, Santa, Clover, 7, and Lotus simply stood there. 7 pairs of downcast eyes and 7 grim lines from mouths. June's body shook with silent sobs. They slowed as the minutes ticked by, and eventually they stopped. Suddenly, the cold, heavy silence that began to envelop them like a thick fog began the bell began to ring. The clock in the central hall, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And then on the 10th ring, it stopped. The sound of a bell faded away into silence. It's 10 o'clock then. They said what each one of them had been thinking. I mean, it's been hours since Zero's little announcement. 7's deep voice echoed across the room. Fuck! Is that enough of this crap? As it leapt to his feet and his flesh. How long are we going to pussyfoot around like this? We got 8 hours until this time limit. Zero was going up there. Let's get going already. Go, go! Sandra's outburst fell on deaf ears. No one seemed to agree with him. They stared back at him, their eyes blank and their faces tired. Finally, Lotus spoke. No, I refuse. I'm not going to end up like him. Him? You mean the ninth man? Of course. Who else? His mind's eye, Junpei saw the corpse again. Dark reddish black pool of blood. Scattered pieces of flesh. Organs strewed across the floor like the blossom of a grotesque flower. The explosion that had torn through his body had been powerful. The ninth man's neck had been twisted at an odd angle. Junpei suspected the detonation had thrown him against the wall. Half of his face was crushed and the other half was covered in blood. Most of his abdomen had been emptied either by the explosion or by gravity. He had landed on his back. Stark white ribs jutted out from his chest like the legs of some sort of macabre crab. Junpei felt something flip in his stomach. I think he just screwed up. Eyebrows went up and Sanda continued. He probably set up some sort of trap and that killed him. I'm not gonna screw up like that. I'm getting out of here alive. Let's see. Whatever Snake is laughing at, Santa did not find particularly humorous. That's so goddamn funny. Oh, my apologies. You were just so very confident. I couldn't help myself. Fuck. I think you've mistaken the situation. Huh? The nice man's death. It had nothing to do with a trap, or at least not the sort of trap you imagined it did. Then, he broke one of Zero's rules. That was why he died. Quite simply, if you think about it. You still don't? Alright. How about you take a moment and think back to what Zero said. Specifically, what did he say about the number of people? He said only 3 to 5 people could pass through one numbered door. Right? And after that, you've forgotten the relevant part. What did Zero say? Santa furrowed his brow and thought. Junpei thought back. Zero said that only 2 people can go through. That everyone verified had to go. What? I don't remember any of these. What he said. All those who enter must leave, and all those who enter must contribute. Right? I think or something like that. Whatever it was, it means the groups of less than 3 people or more than 5 can't go. True. That is correct. Gold star for you, Junpei. Snake inclined his head toward Junpei. Ah. There you go, this looks a little better for you. He tried to pass himself through a numbered door by himself. That was why he was executed. Zero's watching us from somewhere, making sure we don't break any rules. Well, I'm not so sure of that. Why not? Because the execution system is entirely automatic. You didn't notice? There's no need for him to not hurt us. What do you mean? Snake looked at Seven with what only could be described as pity in his eye. Very well. I see you. I see it must be me who tells you. I've waited long enough, I suppose. Hope Zero might spare me the trouble, but it seems increasingly unlikely. Couldn't see them, of course, but perhaps Snake sensed the confused eyes upon him. When he spoke, he gave words to everyone else's thoughts. Do you know something? I know a great many things, but yes. What is it you know? Here. Snake removed a card a card from the pocket of his jacket. With a flourish, he pressed it to Ace, he took a close look at it and spoke. Come on now, what's the point of giving me this? Give me that. Santa snatched the card from Ace, but his expression of disgust quickly turned into one of confusion. Huh? The hell's this? Seven tugged at it out of Santa's hands. Yeah, I see. The card went from Seven to Lotus, from Lotus to June, and finally to Junpei. Looked at it and understood. This is Braille. Braille, the written language of the blind. The card is covered with small, embossed bumps. Embossed? I don't know. Junpei could recognize it, but he certainly couldn't read it. Sorry guys, I can't read this. Junpei handed the card back to Snake, who nodded him with a small smirk. Okay, that was fun. What's so important about the card? I found it in my pocket. Only assume it's a message from Zero. From Zero? A message? What does it say? Everyone was crowding around Snake, desperate to hear what the message said. Santa especially looked at, as if he were about to grab hold of Snake and shake the answers from him. Snake raised his hand. Calm down now. Don't need to panic. Don't need to force me, I'll read it. Junpei swallowed hard and waited for him to start. He was not the only one. Presently, Snake began to read, his voice calm. His fingers glided over the tiny bumps as he spoke. Bracelet number 2. Since you were not blessed with sight, I shall bless you and only you with information. I shall tell you the functions of the dead, and of the bracelet. The red is the recognition device. It will verify your number. Besides every numbered door, you will find a red. The dead is the deactivation device. It does exactly what it says. If you have passed through the numbered door, you must use the dead to stop the detonator in your bracelet. But perhaps you're wondering, what does this detonator detonate? I'm afraid that is something to be. I am afraid this may be something of a surprise. No, I placed a small bomb inside of you and people whom you were about to meet. You swallowed it while you were unconscious. I have no doubt by the time that you read this note, the bomb will have passed your stomach and found its way into your small intestine. In other words, you'll be unable to regurgitate it. I suggest you do not try. As I mentioned before, the bracelet on your left hand contains a detonator. Think of it as a remote fuse or timer for the bomb in your body. There is only one condition that will cause it to detonate. The condition is that if you enter a numbered door, once you have done so, the timer will activate no matter who you may be. You have 81 seconds. If after that time the detonator has not been deactivated, it will send a signal to the bomb in your body, instructing it to explode. In order to deactivate the detonator, every person who verified the number at the red must also verify the number at the dead. While numbers have been verified at the dead, you will need to only pull the lever at its side, and the countdown will cease. Anyone who does not verify the number at the red will find themselves unable to verify the number at the dead. That is to say, if you should pass through the numbered door without first verifying your number at the red in 81 seconds, you will be dead. You must also keep in mind that the numbered door will close automatically after 9 seconds have passed. As long as the door is open, the dead will not function. Do well to remember this. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1. You escape from the ship. 2. Your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship or detects the wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. There's no other way to remove your bracelet. If you attempt to force it off or disable the detonator, the bomb within you will immediately explode. That's all the information which I can impart to you. How you choose to use it is for you to decide. If you use wisely, you can eliminate those who might be dangerous to you. For a time, you would be able to control your fate. Wish you the best of luck. He finished reading and carefully returned the card to his pocket. The message had been lengthy, but its meaning was clear. Only those who verified the numbers at red could pass through the numbered doors. These could not increase or decrease their numbers. The reds, deads, and bracelets enforced the rules. They were the judge, jury, and executioner. In defiance of Zero's suggestions, both Santa and Seven put fingers down on their throats and began to gag. The rest stiffened, some touched their stomachs, some simply stared at the bracelets. Junpei gingerly touched his stomach. There was a bomb inside his body. Thought of that made him queasy. His stomach felt oddly hollow, and his legs were weak. Why had Zero designed such a lucrative game? Ludicrous game. I had to look at that. I was like, no, that's not right. Junpei looked over at the others. Alright, I'm gonna ask one more time. Do any of you know anything about Zero? They were all silent, each person waiting to hear what each other would say. Finally, Santa spoke. Actually, I saw him. I saw Zero when I got grabbed. Didn't see his face, though. Son of a bitch was wearing some kind of gas mask. What the hell? Come on, guys, give me something. You know, like surprise or something? Said it was Santa who looked surprised. There was a moment of silence, and then everyone spoke at once. Yeah, I saw him too. You too? He's wearing a gas mask. The stories were sorted out, the truth became clear. All the stories were the same. They had been abducted at home at midnight. The person claimed to be Zero had worn a mask. There had been a white smoke, and then each person had passed out. When they awoke, they had found themselves on D-deck in a room with a 3-level bunk bed. Only 7 stories seemed to lack the details of the others. No, me? Mine was just like the rest of yours. That was all he had said. It occurred to Junpei at the time that it sounded somewhat strange, but he didn't press the issue. He hadn't done so because there was something that struck him as even stranger. That was the mystery of the relationship between Snake and Clover. For some reason, they had been abducted from the same room and had woken up in the same room. Call him now, it's Clover. Clover's the bad one. Junpei looked at them thoughtfully. So what's the deal with the two of you, anyway? It was Clover that answered. Clearly, she felt that she had nothing to hide. We're siblings. Siblings? Yes. Snake is my older brother, obviously. That means I'm his little sister. Not really so hard to understand? Junpei was taken aback. I'm a little surprised by that. The others seemed just as surprised. He is correct, of course. Laid his hand on Clover's shoulder. Are you surprised? Well, yeah. But why? There are other people here with connections to one another. Those two, for instance. They pointed at Junpei and June. You mean between Jumpy and me? Ah, yes. You did say you were childhood friends, didn't you? You went to school together? Yeah. He glanced at Junpei, uncomfortable with the sudden attention. I felt somewhat nervous as well, and tried to scratch his head as casually as possible. I think maybe we could figure out who Zero is this way? Yeah, you're right. Connect the dots between the victims and that leads you to the textbook stuff. Junpei, June. Does any of this ring a bell? Ring a bell. Ring a bell? Looked at one another. It was like it was staged, they both tilted their necks at the same time. Or perhaps you went to school with the son of a multimillionaire. Someone you bought this boat and set up all those. Whoever Zero is, they must be incredibly rich. No, I can't be sure of that. To me, this seems as though it was the work of an organization, not an individual. Zero is most likely simply the representative of a larger group. Sort of organization. Be a number of things, an army, perhaps, or a research group. Perhaps this is also some sort of psychological experiment. If it is, that's a pretty fucked up experiment. I mean, come on. The guy's dead. We're dead, hugging the air, heavy and ominous. As you've already wasted an hour, you guys need to start moving. The room went quiet again. I don't know who the hell this Zero asshole is, but I know for sure he's gotta be pretty fucked up in the head to do all this. If this was all one guy, then he's got some serious issues. Even with the specter of death hanging over them, the discussion continued for some time. In the end, however, they learned nothing. You guys are wasting so much time. By the time they finished, 1.5 of their 9 hours is gone. 1.5, I guess. All they had to show for it was impatience. And look, we've only got 7.5 hours left, okay? You're really sure you want to just sit around? No one was willing to argue this time. Very well then. There's only one way for us to proceed. Sure not gonna be fun running around knowing we gotta jump when Zero says jump. Yeah, it's stupid just to sit around here doing nothing. I don't trust you. Thanks to Snake's card, at least we have some idea of how this all works. Correct, and so long as we follow the rules, we should be, well, we'll most likely be alright. What? What? He's gonna go in which door? And look toward the numbered doors. Oh yeah, that's right. Can't have any more than 5 people in one door. All 8 of us can't go through the same door. It seems we'll have to split up. Wait. Lois looked terrified. I'm telling you now, there's no way in hell that I'm going into door 5. Oh now, don't be selfish. Call me whatever the hell you want. I'm not going in there. You wanna have to walk through all that blood? I'd rather stay here. Aye. We were doing so well. He shook his head sadly. Sorry, but I ain't going in there either. Someone else can go into door 5. No, Santa, not you two. Hey man, I just bought these shoes. Think I'm getting some creepy dude's blood all over them? You got another... You got another think coming? Alright, little... spelling error there, I guess. Thing. That was the last straw. What the hell, man? Aren't you the one who kept saying we should get going? Yeah, so? We don't want to go into door 5. Oh god. There's an awkward silence. Finally 7 spoke. Fine. I'll go into door 5. Can't go in there alone though. Anyone else willing to come with me? Another long silence. This time Snake was the one to break it. I'll go. What? Don't worry, you'll be fine. We may part now, but I'm certain we'll meet again later. How do you know that? Because I do. That is not an answer. If you're going, I'm going too. I'm going to door 5. What am I going to do with you? There's nothing you have to do. You step forward. If I join you, the problem is solved, correct? 7 is 7, Snake is 2. If plus 4 and my 1, the digital route will be 5. Oh, it works perfectly. 4 of us can go to door 5. Wait, what about the other 4? What's their digital route gonna be? Junpei did a quick mental calculation. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei remained. The patient's numbers were 8, 3, 6, and 5. 8, 3, 6, 5. What would the digital route be? 1 second. Oh, we have a calculator. Well, 8 and 3 is 11. Plus the 6 is 17. Plus the 5 is 22. 22, so it's 4. Oh, look at that. He repeated what he had determined. It's 4. And if we're present numbers, then the digital route is 4. We can go into door 4? Yeah. Oh, that worked out real well. I ran over to the team assignments and his head one more time. We'll be able to go into door 5. Snake. 7, Snake, Clover, and Ace. 4 people go into door 4. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei. Junpei had asked himself if the team were what he really wanted. Beyond door 5 was what remained of the 9th man. Never wanted to see that thing again, but something in him said it would be unwise not to examine the corpse even a little closer. Of course, if he went through door 5, he would be going with Lotus and Santa. True, it would be possible for him to bring June with him along door 5, but that would mean she would have to see the horrific carnage that waited there. Junpei didn't want that. Junpei was torn. Should he stay silent and go through the door 4? Or should he stop them all and insist on door 5? As he turned his options over and over his mind, Ace spoke up. Alright then, see if we've reached a conclusion. Shall we go? And to walk towards door 5. Clover and Snake followed it with 7 a short distance behind. Junpei, where do you want to go through? I want to go through 5. I'll go through 5. Hey, wait. Junpei cried, echoed across the room. 4 people walking toward the door stopped. Turned back toward him. I want to go through the door 5 too. The words were scarcely spoken out enough when June spoke up. What? What are you saying, Jumpy? you're going through that door, then I'm going with you too. Going with you. He turned around, looked at her. No, you can't. Can't take you with me. Oh, why? Well, well, you know, what's in there, don't you? Are you sure you want to see that? And opened her mouth as if to say something, but instead closed it again and looked at the floor. He felt naked, his chest as her clear distress. The choice was not his to make. There was nothing else he could do. He turned away from June, doing his best to silence his turbulent emotions. Please, let me go into door 5. He scratched his head and looked at the young man. And we're right back where we started, you know what? Bracelet is 5, right? If we're going through that add Jupiter's number, then we must subtract 5 from the rest of us. Ace, please take good care of Clover. Oh, alright. That's fine. 4 is 5. Don't go away. You need to listen to me, Clover. Go to door 4 with the others. No. Don't be so selfish. Snake's tone was harsh. Tears welled up in Clover's eyes. Bit her lip and did her best to fight them off. Well, I may have doomed the other group. I don't trust her. Snake's expression softened, and he put his arms around Clover. He held her close and whispered into her ear. You'll be fine. Just relax. Looked as though he whispered 2 or 3 more words, but whatever they were, Junpei didn't hear him. Couldn't help but wonder what the other man had said. Snake pulled back from his sister, his eyes kind of inquiring. Okay, I understand. Voice was barely audible from where Junpei stood. They've doing the other group. Santa, good luck. Lotus, good luck. Those going through door 5, Snake, 7, Snake, and Junpei. And those going door 4, Lotus, Santa, June, Ace, and Clover. Oh no. But Ace is still in danger. I feel like Ace is trapped either way. 7, Snake, and Junpei scanned their numbered bracelets in quick succession. The screen of the red showed 3 asterisks. Alright then, let's go. Quick glance around one more time, his hand resting in the lever of the red. Okay, please be careful. The answer was written plainly across her face. Junpei looked in her eye and gave what he hoped was a reassuring nod. He pulled the lever. I hope this is one of those things where, like, everyone's gonna die. Or, like, I can't save them. I don't know. We'll see what happens. With the sharp clack of the lock releasing, the door swung open. Ahead of them, in a small hallway, were pitiful remains of the 9th man. For a moment, Junpei froze. Try as he might, his eyes would not leave the corpse and his feet would not leave the floor. 7-2 seemed paralyzed. Snake, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned. He walked calmly down the bloody hallway, only to stop when he realized his companions were not following. You intend to kill me? I assume you've not forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you? I didn't even bother to turn around. His head was slightly cocked toward one shoulder. Junpei and 7 looked at one another, nodded, and threw themselves through the door. As they did, a cold tone sounded from the left wrists of all 3 men. 7 and Junpei looked down at their bracelets. On both of them and Snake's was a red skull flickered to life. That detonator had begun to count down. They had scarcely proceeded to process this information when... outside the numbered door behind them swung shut. Unless they could find the device that could deactivate the detonators on their wrists, they would not be leaving this hallway. Hey, where's the dude? Fear and urgency of 7's face reflected what all 3 of them felt. Junpei spun around, searching desperately for the dead. Found it easily enough. It was on the wall next to the closed door labeled 5. Found it. Right here. As he yelled, he struck the scanner with his hand. The other 2 scrambled to follow suit. As soon as they finished, Snake threw the lever down. Ooh. Looks like it stopped. Junpei wiped the sweat from his forehead with his trembling hand. God, that thing's gonna give me a heart attack. Muscles stood out of 7's neck and the corner of his mouth were twitching. Jumpy, are you alright? Are you guys okay? I could hear anxious voice muffled from but distant from the other side of the door. Yeah, we're fine. Detonators have been deactivated. They heard relieved sighs, and even through the door, the three men could feel the tension disperse. Alright, we're moving on. Be careful, okay? Okay. Sure thing. I heard the footsteps moving away, and before long they were alone again. Everybody looked around. Hallway hit a dead end 20 or 30 feet from where they stood. Thick iron wall blocked the way. As they made to force it, the wall refused to move. Left, however, was a wooden door that looked positively inviting by comparison. In the middle of it was a plaque that read First Class. First class cabin, huh? It seems like it. Let's have a look then, shall we? You can't even see. Wait, I wasn't here to check the body. Without hesitation, opened the door and stepped in. Seven followed closely behind him. If I moved forward and followed them as well, but he stopped just short of the threshold and looked back, not knowing why. Lying in a small hallway was a man's body, or at least what was left of it. He tried to avoid looking at the grisly scene, but it just wouldn't leave his mind. What had once been a man's internal organs now looked like so much vomit, as though someone had chewed up and spit out the better part of his torso. It's hideous, but worse still, it was cruel. It's hard to believe the thing on the floor had once been human. The black pool of thick blood, the lumps of glistening flesh spread across the floor, awkward twisting tangle of shredded intestines. His head wrenched to some grotesque, unnatural position. The man's glasses lay next to his head. The lenses were cracked and the frame bent and distorted. As the glasses lay a bracelet, the number 9 still displayed on its face. Let's discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do it so. You escape from the ship, or your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship or detects that the wearer heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. Berg. Suddenly, Junpei felt his stomach convulse and a knot of muscles gripped his throat. Clapped his hands over his mouth and ran into the first-class cabin. The atmosphere changed immediately. The room was gorgeous, and despite the apparent age of the ship, none for the worse for wear. See you guys next time.